Welcome back to the FOMO Lounge, guys. And this week we have Calum Currie. Calum, welcome.
Thanks for having me, dude. Thanks.
For anyone that doesn't know, Calum is a freelance DP and filmmaker. And Calum has managed to fit a lot into a very short career. Calum, I would love to know how you got started and what brought you into this
Mm.
industry.
Yeah, I suppose, how I got started in terms of like finding film as a passion or
Yeah.
finding work.
What motivated you to get into this crazy industry?
Yeah, I guess I think I was like 13, 14. I was one of those bored kids with a best mate who decided to make a YouTube channel one day because, we're just gonna make funny videos about ourselves, like beating each other up or something like that on a trampoline. I don't know. Um, and as soon as I started editing that content, I was like, oh, shit, I actually really enjoy doing this.
Mm.
And I found out about film school. And I was like, oh, okay, this is an actual career, which of course it is because it's films and TV. Um, and I just sort of pointed at that and I was like, okay, that's what I want to do in the future. And I wasn't ever like an academic kid with English, maths, sciences. I always did art, but my school was very academic. So I suppose art and everything else was sidelined whilst that was sort of the forefront of education. So.
And why filmmaking as opposed to any of the other artistic endeavors? What was it about this
Mm.
one that kind of, hit home the most?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think just visually playing with light, and I think initially I started like taking photos. So I like in YouTube, I obviously videoed with my friend, and then my dad had a photography camera, so I'd just shoot photos for fun and edit them. And I think my heart was always with film because it had motion, it had like emotion, and like all these different elements to it that a photo didn't, or it's maybe kind of harder to convey through a photo. So I guess that's how I sort of fell into film.
And then did you progress through kind of a formal film education?
Um,
You would go to
hmm.
film school or anything like that?
No, yeah. So I took a year out after I finished college or sixth form, and I started working at M&S part time, and then I did freelance work like weddings and stuff on the side, and I then once I had enough freelance work come in, I quit M&S and decided to like, pursue it full time. And then I applied to film school that following year. And I went to film school and I met awesome friends there. But the course was a bit, I think we were a guinea pig for a new course. So the
Really?
course was like quite terrible.
Do you,
And like,
are you able to say where that was or?
well, it was Ravensbourne. So
Okay. Yeah.
a lot of people would know that name.
Mm.
A lot of my classmates probably agree. I met awesome people then. The tutors themselves were awesome.
Mm.
Just I think the course was all over the place and it wasn't like concrete enough. Um, so then I gave second year a go, finished first year, and then when I finished second year, that's when COVID sort of started kicking in. And then I had a decision whether to do third year and risk the fact that we wouldn't be actually filming our major projects, we'd just be doing a dissertation. And I talked to enough people at that point to, I think, make an informed-ish decision to just drop out. And
It must have been a tough one. You sunk a lot of
yeah,
time, effort, and money
and money, yeah,
into it, but
yeah.
you still figured it was time to jump ship.
I suppose so. Uni, I think, kind of gives like a false illusion of security. Like, a lot of people would say when they finish uni, they're gonna start, or that's when they're gonna like push like for their career, or like to start getting that, that first job, that second job, and then to save up and all that. They kind of use uni as a maybe a barrier, like, and that's nothing against uni. It's just I think it gives you that false like perception of it, and
Interesting. Would you would you have any advice for anyone who's at that point where they're considering whether to go
mm,
down the uni route or to jump straight in?
yeah, I don't want to be responsible for anyone dropping out, so that's what everyone told me. But I think, if you're getting enough work and my attendance was terrible in second year because I was just, and I think I was right in working as much as I could, and rather than turning it down and going to uni, because that's sort of what I'm going to uni for, right? Why would I? It's a bit counterintuitive to reject work and attend uni, I think. So I feel if you're getting enough work and this is on your head and maybe you've been already you've been already enrolled for 2 years, and I
Mm.
think maybe make the jump. Don't quote me or like
Sure. We'll put a little like a
yeah,
caveat underneath.
yeah.
But so this implies then that at that time you were winning paid work.
Mm.
How did that come about?
Yeah, so when I started that gap year, I reached out to a couple of cafes near me because I love coffee and whatnot. And so I was like, cool. I saw Peter McKinnon doing all that coffee B-roll
Oh, I
on
see. Yeah,
YouTube
I
and
see.
stuff,
Yeah.
like all the sexy like
Yeah.
coffee montages. So I just reached out to these cafes offering to do like a free promo,
That's great.
and I was pretty fortunate. I think it's kind of luck, right place, right time sort of thing. But the owner of the cafe near me, his brother works as a producer at Bear Jam Productions.
Oh, I know Bear
So
Jam. Yeah.
yeah, Bear Jam, yeah, they're
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty cool guys.
Yeah.
And so they saw my work and they got me in for a
Wow.
meeting, and we did a couple of things with them. And I think they handed me over one of their clients who couldn't really afford their level of productions, but was looking for like a one-man band sort of thing.
Wow, that's a good break.
Yeah, so I started working with her, and then at that point, a couple of other people had seen the coffee video and then just started messaging me, and then I got like a retainer for a corporate video from that, and then kind of spiraled into word of mouth, and I was still reaching out to everyone. Like I
Yeah.
reached out to like hotels when I went to Morocco to do some like promotion
Yeah,
stuff.
I remember when I first met you, you had perhaps just done that one. That was a good story. Remind me of how that came about.
Yeah, so my girlfriend, or now fiance, actually. So,
Oh shit! Congratulations.
Yeah, cheers. She just turned to me. We were in a cafe, and she said, we should go to Morocco. And I was like, oh, cool. Let me just message some hotels. Like, let's at least try and get the stay for free. So I messaged like 20 hotels, and the last hotel I messaged was Four Seasons.
Nice.
Okay,
Long shot.
Yeah, and exactly. That's what I was thinking. I was like, well, F it, I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
I don't lose anything.
Yeah.
And they were the only ones to reply to me, apart from one other hotel.
Yeah.
But they got back to me straight away saying that they would love to do a project
Mm.
and host me for a couple of nights, and there was pay involved, but it wasn't crazy. And I was just shocked.
You got to take your girlfriend to the Four Seasons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Did you get to see her though? Like, were
No.
you?
I was running around the Four Seasons. I was like sweating. It was like 40 degrees.
Oh right.
I just wanted to make an awesome video, and so I had a lot of that pressure on myself.
But what a massive name to have on your show reel so early on. I mean, like that is, when you're building your website, Calum Currie DOP or whatever it might be, it's like you don't necessarily want to have your local coffee shop's logo in your clients, but if you have the Four Seasons, that immediately gives you that that mark of respect and trustworthiness that can lead into other work, right?
Yeah, and it did actually. Like I passed it on to like a well-known photographer in the Instagram community, like commercial photographer, super talented guy called Jack, and he loved the video and was like, I want to get you on a project. He wanted me to come out with him to Kyrgyzstan that summer, but I wasn't available, unfortunately. But then he asked me to do a commercial project with him in London, and then that led on to shooting Polestar together, which I hired your kit for.
That's right, yeah.
And so it kind of just led on to work, and we've done some awesome commercial projects together now.
Yeah.
Like, we've sort of kind of helped each other, I think, where he can now offer video like at a certain quality.
Yeah.
Clients are now asking him for video, so now we're like kind of growing the team. And
That's great. And it seems like even at the start, you didn't necessarily know how you were going to make your, get your break, but just one step led to the next. And then would you have any advice for anyone who's perhaps slightly earlier in that journey?
Yeah. Just you have to put stuff out there, really. Like I'm still like rubbish at that. Like I'm still trying to tell myself, just post on Instagram, even if it's BTS or a project from last year. Just post some stuff because it just keeps you kind of relevant, or it keeps people's eyes on your work. And that's what certainly helped me. I posted that coffee video, which was then seen by that corporate client, and we signed like a long job together. Yeah. And send your stuff to people. That's also what I did.
Because I think you must be pretty active on, like, you must be hustling a bit. Because I remember, I think, was it the first time we spoke ever was I posted a job on a Facebook group. Was that right? I was looking for someone to film some stuff, and I like super last minute, and I think I posted something on a group, and you responded and showed me your stuff, and then I think that's how we met.
Was it? Do you know Ashton?
Yeah, Ashton.
Was it Ashton? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he passed it to me.
Maybe that's
and
it.
then we jumped on a call together and had a meeting, something like that.
But it's weird, isn't it? Like you meet someone in the industry through a connection or through whatever means, and then it only takes a year, and suddenly you forgot how you met, but you've done a load of work together, and they pass you on to someone else. It's like the interconnections can build up pretty quickly, can't they?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like when I met you back then, FOMO was a lot smaller than what it is now, and like you guys have exploded in that area. Like your rental side. So
Well, we're trying to give people the kit they want.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, and it's awesome to see. So
Yeah. How do you deal with accepting work? You know, when it's not always there. You know, the phone's not always ringing. Is it stressful at times?
yeah. I mean, last month I came off a few like big jobs, and I sat down and I was like, oh, I actually don't really have like much going on in April. I think I only have a couple shoots booked like July, September, but that was it. Like it was all kind of empty, and it does give you like a bit of panic. Like, and it's always like when I'm about to sleep. As soon as I'm about to
Really?
sleep, I don't have any shoots coming up. And
Oh, that's
I'm
an
like,
awful
and then I
feeling.
can't sleep. So it's tough. Like it's a mental battle, 100%, because like for example, this week. I just on Monday things started like kind of flooding in, and then Tuesday and then today a couple more jobs inquiries have come in. So it's weird how you can go a whole month of it not really like you're shooting current projects but you don't have anything ringing or any emails, and then a few weeks later suddenly you're just bombarded again. I don't. It's just a weird one, and
Yeah.
I feel like you go through a mental battle of like, should I start taking like low paid work or like the gigs that no one really wants to do again? Should I start doing that stuff? Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
is it my time to like try to humble myself a bit and go back there? And
Yeah. So I guess for anyone out there who's, you know, having those concerns about the phone not ringing for a while and the diary looking a little bit bare, just stay strong.
yeah,
You know, keep putting the feelers out, and before you know it, things will pay off.
yeah.
I guess but to touch on what you mentioned about then considering taking lower work, how do you decide what projects to say yes to and what to say no to?
Um, I mean, be careful not to pigeonhole yourself, I think is the first thing. So like, I wouldn't accept jobs that I'm trying not to accept any work that isn't DOP work, because I've had many mates who are very talented DPs who take so many AC jobs and
Right.
they become known as a great AC, and then they have to like basically start again with rebranding themselves. And then they're so busy being a great AC that they're not practicing their craft. And so first, yeah, I'd start with, is it a DP job, or I'd sometimes take some editing work, but mainly DP work. A second, is it something that I would use on my reel? If it isn't, I'd probably like try and push for full day rates, like APA and whatnot. But then if it is something I'd use on my reel, I'm happy to negotiate or like
Gotcha.
come down because maybe the budget's tight, or the director is doing a passion project, so he just wants to like basically make it look great, and it's a bonus for both of you. So it's kind of like all over the place. But I guess like if you want longevity in this career, I think the best way to go about it is just make sure you're doing what you want to do in the future now, and then make sure you're taking the work or creating the work you want to get paid for in the future now. So whether that's like investing in passion projects, like I'm doing a fair few passion projects at the moment, just to be able to include like more sports stuff in my reel, for example.
Right.
So that's just something I'm basically getting paid from these other jobs, which I love doing those, and maybe some of them I don't like as much, but then I'm reinvesting the money in passion projects that then are hopefully going to get me more work in the future of what I want to do, if that makes sense.
Is it important to have a passion project, you think?
Yeah, I feel you shouldn't kick yourself if you don't. It's not like crucial, but I mean, you probably started this journey because it was a passion from the beginning, right? So I feel it's important to, especially like, because you're not always getting the jobs that can show your potential. So you can use passion projects to sort of try something more creative. You won't have a client barking down your like watching over your every editing step or whatnot. And so I feel like you can definitely use it to your advantage. But I feel the word passion project has been tossed around so many like free work, around so much free work that
Yeah.
it's kind of taken a like maybe a negative it's connotation, maybe. I don't know, because I remember when a year into working full time as a freelance, when I'd hear passion project, I'd just be like, oh, that's just free work. And I'd kind of be tempted to turn it down because I mean, you shouldn't take free work, but then passion projects should be when no one's getting paid, and maybe it's just to support someone, or to shoot a short film, for example, or for a charity or something that can be a bit more passion. But I hear the word passion project be tossed around like just when they're trying to get someone to shoot it for free, which I think is not right. So maybe
Yeah.
do your own passion projects, but be careful what you're accepting when someone else asks you. Like if it's a mate, for sure, like I'm always down to help friends and stuff. But if it's someone you haven't heard of and it is technically paid to them, be very careful. So,
You've touched on this already,
mm,
but there's a constant battle between financial security
mm,
and creativity and so on.
mm,
You know, I think we'd all like to be doing the passion projects a lot more of the time, but at the end of the day, we have to get paid and pay the bills and so on.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you have, is there a rule that you live by when it comes to that, or does it just depend on, how the quarter's going in terms of how
Mm.
much free time you might be able to carve out for the passion project? Or how do you do it?
I mean, yeah, that I feel there's no set way. I mean, I don't do it in any set way, but for example, the start of the year, like January, February, March was great. But then April, like I touched on earlier, was kind of dry after I finished the projects at the end of March. So then I took that opportunity because the first 3 months had been great to just reinvest some money and like contact some friends that I've been planning to do this passion project with and just start rolling them out. Because I had a
Mm,
few mates that were quite, also quite dry in April. I don't know if it was like an industry sort of thing. Um, but yeah, so we started shooting like we started pre-production all these passion projects and we started shooting some of them and we have now like proof of concepts to like reach out to certain brands and
great.
charities and stuff. So they're starting to roll out, I suppose, and I have used the time where I didn't have as much work
Right.
to
Use your
yeah,
downtime to do something. Yeah.
yeah, and
You
like
take it as an opportunity. Right. Uh,
yeah,
do you do you think some people pretend to be busier than they are in the industry? Is it difficult to go on
yeah,
Instagram, and I'm sure you follow some other DPs and so on, and like,
mm,
everyone
it's
seems
tough.
everyone seems to be busy all the time, right? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I'm not sure that's the case.
No, I don't think it is. There are very few DPs which I think are booked all the time.
Mm,
And if you are, that's insane. Like you've definitely hacked the industry.
yeah.
But Instagram does give that illusion. I go on, especially when I don't have much work and it's maybe like a slow day. I go on Instagram and I see all these guys doing insane stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
shit, like, what am I doing wrong? That's what I ask myself. So
You have to stay pretty strong, right? That stuff can
yeah,
get you down.
I can get you really down. Yeah.
Do you have any advice to anyone else who might be, at the risk of getting down about that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, just stay off like socials sometimes when that happens because you'll take anything that you see and like that will affect your mood. Like it's just how you're feeling in that day. If if you're just having a bad day in general, then and you're especially like self-conscious about the work side of stuff, then going on Instagram and seeing guys doing the same stuff
Yeah.
is not gonna help.
You're just feeding that feeling.
No,
Yeah,
yeah. So definitely kind of take a step back. I don't know, spend it with family, your girlfriend, boyfriend. Go to the cinemas, take a long walk, listen to an audiobook.
sure.
I don't know, just
All good
music.
advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. Changing tack slightly. How do you decide what to charge?
That's an interesting
How do
one.
you
Yeah.
know where to pitch your services? And do you, maybe we can't say, but does your price change depending on who you're pitching to? It's a
Yeah,
dark
yeah.
art, right?
It's a interesting one. There's so many schools of thought with this. Um, I have mates that would have no issue with like when I've asked for advice or like for example like I've done some like high end real estate stuff where the properties cost north of 50 million each. I think
Wow.
the most expensive one I filmed was 100 million. It's in one Hyde Park.
Did you have to do every room?
No, oh, no, fortunately not. It was just mainly exterior stuff. But I was just thinking, like, what is their like marketing budget as a whole in general? Like, how
Mm.
much do they have towards a video? And if you're charging, I don't know, like 3, 4 grand for like a 30, 40 second video, to them that might be just, I don't know, pennies or like just like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, why not? Like, so that has been an industry where I have like kind of a few times just doubled what I would have said, and
Mm.
it's come off like they've just been saying okay. So I'm
Mm.
like, oh, maybe should I double that? Like, I mean, you can't get too greedy at the end of
Mm.
the day, but I think that's an industry where it's tough because they're making so much money. Agents are making 2% off £100 million sale. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So and marketing, I don't know how much they have towards that. So that's one side of the industry where I'm like, a bit more flexible towards the upper scale. But in terms of like day-to-day DPing stuff, I like to, if it's something I want to do, I'll be happy to negotiate. If the budget's tight, 100%. I'd rather just shoot than not shoot.
Yeah.
So I don't like, I have like a rule of thumb, like a general day rate that I like to stick by
Yeah.
with kit and stuff, but then it's always kind of just like fluctuating.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah.
And how closely do you kind of stick to and quote the APA type setups?
That's hard because I haven't had like tons of APA
Yeah.
rates, and I feel they use the excuse that it's not a TV commercial so many times, so it's just online content.
Yeah.
And sometimes the budget's there for APA, but someone up in that ladder or whatever is kind of just trying to hold on to profit.
Yeah.
Which I also understand from a business point of view. So, and if people are saying yes, then no one's holding a gun to your head. So like the problem is the industry are there are people doing it for cheaper.
Yeah.
So there aren't many APA days. There are a couple here and there, which are nice. But in general, yeah, like in terms of like what to charge, it's kind of like it's kind of like an intuitive thing maybe, or an instinct thing. Sometimes there's, a year on, like this time last year, I wasn't charging as much, but if I was charging what I was charging last year now, maybe I'd feel that's too little, but back then I didn't. So maybe it's like with experience and with your knowledge base like growing, maybe that's like a thing you can start charging more for. I don't know. It's a hard one. It's
I mean, I've never been good at that sort of thing, whether it be in me as freelancing or even business stuff. It's like there are so many, as you said, so many different schools of thought. It's like, do you charge by the value that you think you're providing, or do you peg it to your peers and what they're charging, or do you stick to something and just hold tight there, or do you be flexible? I don't know, man. I don't know. I was hoping you were going to give me the golden answer. No. Sounds like you're the same boat as me. You decided to freelance.
Yeah.
You had other options. You could have gone in house somewhere. You could have started your own limited company, like a production company of your own. I know when I was starting out, I really ummed and ahed about what the right thing to do was, and each has their own pros and cons. What was your thought process for it?
I mean, when I started to learn more about the business side of like owning a production company, because when I first started, I didn't know much at all about the industry, right? I just thought, okay, I'll just start a video production company. Technically, I'm a production company because I'm creating productions or videos, right? So I was taking on like clients of my own and doing like whole projects and stuff. And then with all the like admin side of stuff, like the accounting, just the producing, which I didn't like to do, but at that time I didn't have enough money to hire an external producer. I didn't like that side of it. I felt like I was shooting 20% and working on other stuff 80%.
Right.
So then I started getting hired as like a DP on a freelance basis. And then I was like, yeah, actually, I prefer doing this because most of the time I'm just shooting, and when I'm not, I can like focus on passion projects. But that's not to say I won't do a production company in the future. I think you can do both. I've seen some people do both, and it's great. It's definitely, you're probably taking a step back from a bit of your freelance DP work to give time towards a production company, especially at the beginning.
Would you consider yourself as established at this stage?
No.
Really?
Probably not, no. I struggle with the idea that, I feel like you're always trying. I was speaking to a mate the other day, and I was telling him it feels like you're always trying to make it. Like you can have like a big break, or, I thought my big break was when I did my first TV commercial, and I would go on ITV. It's definitely not. Like, you're not going to get signed for the rest of your life after doing that. Or when I went to Sweden and did like a car commercial or tire commercial there for 3 weeks, I thought, okay, this is it. Going to be another big break. No, like you're still.
That's still a milestone, like
for sure, yeah. And you have something to show for yourself,
yeah.
Right? And your work is getting better, but you're still like hustling, and you're still running after jobs and pitching and doing treatments, and you're still going to be rejected. Like, there's still someone else that might not be necessarily better than you, but is more suited to a job. And I guess that's what you have to wrap your head around as well. It's just because someone else was hired doesn't mean they're better than you. It just means they might be suited more for the job. They might have the right lenses or kit, or they might know the person a bit better, or they just did a better treatment, just stuff like that.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So I wouldn't say I'm established. No.
Is there something that would have to happen for you to consider yourself as established?
Maybe signed to like a representative or an agency, maybe.
Yeah.
But then I've talked to many people who are, and they said it doesn't get you much either. It's just you got a name.
Right.
So I don't know. What would I have to do? If I did maybe like a TV series on Netflix, then maybe. And then I'd feel like, okay, cool. Now I've done something like substantial. I can like send around, and I don't know. Would kind of maybe I'll feel it when it happens, and I'll be like, okay, like I feel like I can like 100% trust in the future, in terms of like the filmmaking industry.
Yeah.
Or I feel like maybe when I made my mark somehow. I don't know.
What's the most stressful part of your job, do you think?
Probably the mental side of it. Yeah.
Really?
Like what we were touching on earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
That when you don't have necessarily loads of work coming in, that can get a bit stressful. Like that takes a toll. Like there are times like on my worst days, I just wouldn't even want to like eat. I'd just probably go to the gym and get my head out of like, try and get myself out of my head. But
Yeah.
I tend to lose an appetite when I'm just like not in the mood or something. So,
Yeah. Wow.
So there are like stressful days, in that sense. Like, I think it's all a mental game, because there's a million things I should be happy about, but then it's just that I don't have enough work in the next few months, and suddenly that one day I'm like, shit, this is a terrible day. But I think it's the emotional roller coaster essentially.
Yeah. I can say that certainly that's been said by the majority of the people we've interviewed so far. It's
That's reassuring.
It does seem to be a running theme of the industry. It's one of heightened emotions and that kind of that roller coaster of highs and lows. And I guess it's like when you're busy, it's great, but you can't. There's only so much work you can take on at once, so you have to turn stuff away, and then before you know it, you're wishing you could take it because you're quiet again, and it's difficult to balance out and to flatten out that kind of jagged, that jagged line, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever be flattened out. Like I remember watching some interviews of like massive DOPs speaking to, I don't know, an interviewee on YouTube, where the interviewee is like asking, so how do you feel now that you've done like, I don't know, shot like the Batman or something, like you must have work pouring out years and stuff, and they all touched on the same theme, which was, I don't know what I'm doing after the film. Like,
really?
Yeah, and maybe it's because they obviously cost a lot, so they're not going to do your average, TV commercial. But they'll probably go home for a couple months, and they were saying they don't have much to do. But
project by project stuff. Yeah,
I think at that level it is. But you're probably getting well paid from that one project you're doing every 2 years. So, but it's still hard. Like I'd rather be busy than just well paid and like not busy, if you know what I mean.
Do you have any like a side hustle or anything that helps even out that kind of whipsaw type project by project pay for you?
Yeah, I got into crypto mining.
Did you?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not mining anything like Bitcoin or Ethereum, but I don't know if you heard of Helium. It was like
I'll tell you what, I'm not your crypto guy, but
I wasn't until last year,
right?
COVID and lockdowns.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was insane for like 6 months. Essentially, you just put this router, which would take hardly any energy, and you get rewarded points for distributing data. And the price of the coin skyrocketed.
Oh wow!
And like some people were making 10 grand in 1 month of one box, and I think I had 4.
Nice.
So it was good, but then I sold at wrong times.
Oh shit!
All that stuff. But I still made like decent money, so that was like a good side income there.
And was that done because of an interest in crypto, or because you were kind of looking for just a little bit of a passive income of some sort?
That was, so Jack, who I mentioned earlier, he's also into crypto, and we've invested like together, and we've talked a lot about it and like advised each other. And he heard about these, and he actually reached out to the company and said, we'll do some content. And they were complete back order. Like if you ordered one back then, you'd get it in maybe a year.
Right.
And I think he reached out to them about doing some work and like video work as well. And so I think they sent 20 miners to us.
No.
And just right then and there, and we're like, And he
Wow.
sold a couple, and I sold a couple. I think they averaged at 400 quid if you bought from the supplier, but on eBay they were going north of 9.5 grand. So he sold two in one day at 9.5 grand each.
Wow.
So crazy
Shit, I gotta
money.
start looking at crypto. What am I doing in
It
rentals?
is but
Jeez.
now they won't go for more than 300
Oh,
because
right.
there's too much in the market. Yeah, and your return is nothing now. But back then it was insane, and so it kind of came out of work in a way, like just my sort of day-to-day freelance stuff. It just was basically payment. And it's probably the best paying job I've ever had in my life. So yeah, it is funny. It ended up becoming a passive income for 6 months, and
So I guess the advice is kind of just try things, look for opportunities, and
I suppose, yeah. I'm not like a financial guru with loads of passive income streams.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn some. I'm trying to, like, I bought those lenses that you might stock.
Absolutely, yeah. For anyone out there who's looking for some beautiful vintage lenses, we now stock Calum's Leica Summilux.
That's it, yeah.
So the Summilux, yeah.
The Summilux, yeah.
Professionally rehoused in the US, so that's going to look good for anyone looking for a bit of a vintage and beautiful look.
Yeah.
What does the future hold?
I just want to become I just want to improve year by year as a DP. I just want to understand more about light and about cameras, and I just want to create images that impact others, maybe, or change something. Like, I'm not going to say I want to change the world, it's so cliche, but like change something. I want people to watch something I've shot, and be like, stories change the world in their own way, don't they? I suppose, yeah.
A powerful story can move anyone.
Yeah, so there are times where I've wished, like, in the future to just be financially like secure, and then I've had that and not done projects I've liked, and so I'm like, I actually just want to do projects I love and like create beautiful images. So I think it's kind of striking a balance now. So hopefully get repped in the next few years, and just keep doing more of what I want to do, and hopefully I can continue to work in this industry and not have to like look for anything else. And yeah, I'm still like, I was talking to Nick earlier and said I still think my luck's gonna run out, so I'm still just running.
I think that's you being too humble and letting those doubts, creep their way in, because I think from the outside, everyone would say you are most definitely on the up, and I for one would love to have you back in the studio to catch up with you when you've got some, to see the next chapter of what you're up to. But
amazing.
In the meantime, Calum, thank you so much for joining me, and best of luck with everything.
Cheers, bro.
No worries,
very much
man.
for having me.
No worries.